A storied rivalry renews this weekend. Along the shores of Lake Superior sits Amsoil Arena. And inside we have two of the top men's programs in the country. The first meeting came in 1952. Tonight, game number 250 between Minnesota and UMD. Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome inside Amsoil Arena and our My9 Sports broadcast booth. I am Zach Schneider alongside Judd Medic. We will be joined later on tonight by Alexis Bass. This is a matchup that no longer comes with conference points on the line, but anytime Minnesota and UMD get together, the in-state bragging rights that are on the line lead to a fun series.
Well, it's one of the best series in college hockey across the nation, and I've been lucky to be a part of it on the ice, and now I get to be up here and take it all in. But it's been a long time since we had back-to-back hosted games here in Duluth in this series. I believe it's been 2011 was the last time. But again, they're going to renew that rivalry with a couple home games here in Duluth, and it's exciting. The atmosphere here is going to be electric, and it's going to be a great weekend.
Scott Sandlin earlier this week said Minnesota will be a great measuring stick for his young guys here at UMD. Alexis Bass caught up with the UMD head coach earlier tonight.
Coach, your buzzword this week was compete. What did you see in practice in the way that evolved through the rest of the week?
It was a good week. I mean, obviously, messages can be simple. Monday was very pointed, but I thought our guys had a good week, and they're excited to play. Just like this is a fun series to play in. It's a great measuring stick for our team, but we're going to need to no matter who we're playing, right? We have to raise our compete level. We have to work harder, and those are two components of giving yourself a better chance for success.
A component of success that I know that you want to see is, of course, wins in this next series tonight. What do you want to learn about this group?
Well, obviously you want to win every game, right? But again, I want to see how we respond. We didn't have our best game Saturday against Lowell. I'll give Lowell credit. They were the better team. So again, you come in here with a team that many are picking has a chance to win the national championship, a rival. I think like I said, it's a great measuring stick. They're very deep, but again, we've got to do the things that we need to do to have success against them. We need to do some things a lot better than we have maybe through the first three games. And this team, again, when you play good teams like this, they're going to expose other weaknesses. So hopefully we don't have too many of those.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Zach, Judd.
Buick GMC, first for the visitors from Minnesota.
Well, they want to put pressure on the puck. This young Bulldog team has had a little bit of trouble this year when they feel that pressure, and they want to put pressure on them, cause those turnovers. They got a lot of firepower up front. Put that pressure on them and cause some turnovers. Second, they got to be ready to play. This atmosphere is going to be electric in here. It's going to be a pro Bulldog crowd. They got to come out ready in the first 5-10 minutes of this hockey game and not be back on their heels.
And for the home team, UMD.
UMD's got to take care of pucks. Obviously, they've had some issues early in the year so far with turning pucks over and making it pretty easy. So they got to take care of pucks, be hard to play against, possess the puck, get pucks in deep, and keep it simple. Second thing, they got to feed off the atmosphere, kind of the opposite of what we talked about for the Gophers' success. Well, this is a pro Bulldog crowd. The atmosphere is going to be electric in here, and they got to be ready to play and feed off of that.
A sold-out crowd here at Amsoil Arena is ready to rock. We'll drop the puck, the Bulldogs and the Gophers, right after this on My9 Sports.
Good luck to both teams tonight.
Tonight's game available on My9 Sports, Fox 9 in the Twin Cities, and NCHC TV. It's produced by Bulldog Productions, brought to you with the support of Essentia Health and Kohler Chevrolet Buick GMC. The starting goaltender matchup tonight, one of a couple young guys. Nathan Airy, a sophomore for Minnesota. He didn't play much last year because a guy named Justin Close had the net for the Gophers. Airy 2-1-0 in his career, a 2.53 goals against average. For UMD, a guy who didn't play at all last year, at least for the Bulldogs. He's freshman Adam Gajan out of Slovakia, 1-1-0, a 3.0 goals against average, the highest drafted goaltender in last summer's NHL draft. A Chicago Blackhawks prospect, somebody that UMD fans have been excited for quite some time to see in a Bulldogs uniform.
Yeah, it's been a couple years since that breakout after the World Juniors that Gajan had, and we knew he was coming here at that time. He was committed, and he finally gets to put a jersey on this year and suit up for the Bulldogs, so it's fun to watch.
The Bulldogs 1-2-0 this year. They split last weekend on the road against UMass Lowell. Minnesota 1-1-0 this year. They split in the Icebreaker tournament in Las Vegas. They beat Air Force and then lost in overtime to Omaha. Thanks for joining us on this Friday night. The Bulldogs and the Gophers underway here at Amsoil Arena. Zach Schneider, Judd Medic, along for the ride with you at home. Airy out to play the puck early on in the Gopher zone. Lineup shuffles for both these teams from what they put on the ice last weekend. Turnover just inside the UMD line. You'll see the lines for both teams on the top of your screen. Minnesota back to the point. Rinzel controls for the Gophers. Across for Chesley. Chesley defended by Loney for UMD. Plays it in behind the goal. Gallatin there defending. Kurth loses it to Kleber. He tries to flip it out to center ice. It doesn't get out of the UMD zone. On the second effort it does, and Rinzel will dump it back in. Both teams changing 60 seconds into the hockey game. UMD's captain, Dominic James, picks up the puck, has it knifed away from him as he tried to go through center. Now Bettens takes away at neutral for UMD. Bettens into the zone. He's canceled out with a good check along the far side. Puck into the corner on the far boards for UMD. Comes back to Bettens. Tried to feed the point and does. Pionk with it. Long shot. That hit James in front. Karams to Minnesota, who will skate to center. Zemer gets the return pass. Nice toe drag. A shot. He scores! Brody Zemer snaps it past Guyon. Minnesota, an early 1-0 lead.
Well, there you see that high-octane offense and that skill right off the bat. Brody Zemer, the freshman, shows what he can do here as he absolutely undresses the UMD defenseman. A little toe pull and makes no mistake on a great individual effort. Nice little give and go there. Zemer with Oliver Moore, another guy you're going to hear a lot tonight. Very highly touted first-round draft pick. And again, they come in waves at you, and they have a lot of firepower up and down the lineup. And there's just a great individual play. That's one of those ones where UMD just can't get beat on their one-on-ones. That's the bottom line against anybody, especially a team like this.
First collegiate goal for Zemer, the Buffalo Sabres draft pick. He makes it 1-0 on Minnesota's first shot of the hockey game. Less than 2 minutes in, and the Gophers' high-octane offense already at work. Gruba tries to play it through center ice. A turnover for UMD at the blue line. Brody Lamb couldn't collect it, and it's Smith the other way for UMD. He gains the red line and will dump it in. Gruba back to collect it for the Gophers. Snuggerud. Pass ahead at the line. Falloon. He tries to sidestep Gallatin, who gets some help now. Pickpocketed by Huglin. And now to the far side it goes. Cal Thomas sends it back into the corner. He's got it now at the far point. Centering pass, knocked off the puck, was Nevers by UMD's Owen Gallatin. Huglin now with it. He takes a hit from Gallatin. Shagabe had it go past him. Long shot tipped in. Guyon makes the save, his first of the night for UMD. Back to the point. Chesley, top of the circle. Good save by Guyon. Found the puck through some traffic. UMD penned up in its own zone, already trailing by a goal. Chesley has it. Walks into the circle. Sharp angle shot, missed the net. Thomas, far point, he holds. Chesley has it, near side corner now. Centers, Huglin a shot. That one blocked in front, right on the doorstep was Aaron Huglin.
UMD needs a whistle here. These guys are gassed. Long shift here. There's a clear. Luckily, hopefully a few of them can at least get off here.
Back on the attack, Minnesota with UMD changing. Chesley tripped up on the play. Penalty coming to the Bulldogs. And as Loney touches, the Bulldogs whistled for that tripping penalty, and Minnesota will get the game's first power play.
Well, that's what happens when you get caught running around in your own zone for an extended period of time. As we look at the all-time series, we've talked about it's quite the rivalry, but Minnesota pretty much dominating the first 3.5 minutes of this game so far. See UMD dominating the last 10 games of this. 6-2-2.
Small sample size for the Gophers, but no power play goals on the season. Just 5 opportunities last weekend in the Icebreaker tournament. 23% was Minnesota with the man advantage last season. Snuggerud, Rinzel at the point, across for Matthew Wood, the transfer from Connecticut. Long shot, tipped in front, over the cage. To the corner it goes. James will pick it up shorthanded. He leads it 3-on-3 through neutral ice. James hands off for Plant, a long shot, save made, the rebound! Turned aside by Airy as well. 2 good saves from Nathan Airy, his first of the game for the Gophers.
Well, great work by UMD here to jump on that shorthanded opportunity. They had numbers 3-on-2 up the ice, and they didn't get cute. They just made a nice attempt to shoot it on goal and get some traffic there, and it almost paid off for them.
45 seconds gone on the power play for Minnesota. Their clearing attempt knocked down at the line. Wood picks it up, tries to sidestep to hit a Molinar. Centering pass knocked away by Guyon. Now back in, a shot, you score! Brody Lamb, a power play goal. Just like that, it's 2-0 Minnesota.
Well, that's a tough shift for Jack Smith on UMD. He had an opportunity to clear that puck out earlier, and then he had another opportunity to make a play, and unfortunately gives it up. You'll see this right here the second time. He's got it, and he throws it right back to Lamb. I'm not sure what he's thinking there. I think he was maybe just trying to clear it to the corner, which is kind of what you're taught when you're panicking in front of your net. Just throw that puck to the corner, but unfortunately Lamb was standing right there, and he threw it right to him.
Another of the draft picks, Lamb, a New York Rangers prospect, scores his first goal of the season, and within 5 minutes, it's 2-0 Minnesota. 2 goals on 6 shots for the Gophers. Long pass ahead, that misses, and they'll wave off the icing as Hendrickson wins the race for Minnesota. Arnott picks it up for the Bulldogs, ahead for Perkins. He'll skate through neutral ice. Hands off for Loney at the blue line. Perkins. Tied up along the near side boards. Now a 3-on-2 developing for Minnesota. This is Moore. Skates right in. A shot. Guyon makes the save. Loney collects it on the far boards for the Bulldogs.
Well, it was an offensive zone turnover there by UMD. Perkins got the line, and you see here he throws it in deep where UMD can now forecheck. Well, the last sequence, he turned it over just inside the blue line, and that's a no-no for coaches. You never want to turn the puck over just inside the blue.
Long shot attempt. That came from Falloon. It was blocked away back to center, but now back on the hunt is Minnesota. Falloon will chase it down on the far boards. Comes free to Plant. James digs it free, flips it to center ice for UMD. Gives it back to Plant. Zam Plant, the Hermantown native, moves from center to wing. He gets a promotion to the top line here for UMD. Skating alongside the Bulldogs captain, Dominic James. They created that shorthanded chance earlier in the game. And now some pushing and shoving as the faceoff will come in the Minnesota zone. The Gophers out in front 2-0.
Yeah, been a pretty sloppy game so far, especially for UMD. Again, one of the things we talked about early and one of the keys was taking care of the puck, and that second goal was a perfect example of taking care of it and actually not taking care of it and what can happen if you don't. And Jack Smith turned it over twice on that shift, and you can't turn it over twice and expect it's not going to end up in the back of your net against this team.
Kleber fired one in off a bad angle. Shagabe tried to float one to the middle. It's turned over, and Minnesota the other way. They'll call a hand pass on the Gophers and negate what looked to be another odd man rush. Scott Sandlin said on Wednesday to us during his media availability, he said again tonight before the game, if you feed Minnesota's transition, they have the players to make you pay.
Well, they certainly do. It's, one individual talent through the roof, which this Minnesota team's always had, right? They've had that over the past, especially 10 years, but never been able to close the deal. And if this team can learn how to play like a team, they're going to be deadly.
Gallatin can't get his clearing attempt past Snuggerud. Chesley fires opposite corner for Minnesota. Gallatin ahead for Dominic James. He's defended by Chesley, who wins the battle, gets the puck to the corner, and now up the boards it comes. Paulson across the line. They're offside. And the faceoff will come back to center ice. So far, so good for the Gophers. In your keys to the game, you said take this partisan UMD crowd out of it. 2 goals in the opening 5 minutes will do that.
Well, they certainly have. They both young teams like we talked about, but Minnesota Gophers certainly looking like the more experienced veteran crew that just kind of settled things down and made a couple of plays. UMD looks a little nervous with kind of turning the puck over and really hasn't been able to generate any sort of offense or sustain pressure.
Thomas moves the puck around to the near side boards, takes a hit for his troubles from UMD's Smith. Out to center ice it comes. Kurth at the line, gives way to Gruba into the far corner boards. Wood had to go past him, and out to center ice it comes. Kurth at the blue line, taken away by UMD's Pionk, and back out to the safety of center ice for the Bulldogs. Thomas takes a hit in front of the Bulldogs bench. Molinar, the transfer from St. Cloud State, he shoots it in for UMD.
Well, you can see the effectiveness of UMD just on this shift. They're getting a little bit more physical and taking away that time and space, and that's going to make things hard again on these one-on-one.
Zemer in again for Minnesota. That one wide on the stick side. And I think it caught something high netting. So a face-off coming. Minnesota off to a hot start. 2-0 Gophers. They lead it here on My 9 Sports. Two 0 Minnesota. Just past the 8-minute mark here of period number 1. Offensive zone face-off for the Gophers. Zach Schneider, Jeb Medic here with you in Duluth. First 2-game series in Duluth since October of 2012 between these two teams. It's been home and homes ever since then. But this the start of 4 straight years of 2-game series in either Duluth or Minneapolis. For more tonight, let's go down rinkside to Alexis Bass.
Hockey. This one takes us back all the way to 1952. Tonight marks the 250th all-time meeting between the Gophers and the Bulldogs. But as for the Bulldogs, this marks one of their most telling tests of the season. Head coach Scott Sandon was pretty open about this week's series, saying, yeah, we have to respect this Gopher team, but we can't be afraid of them. We've got a lot of good guys with a good opportunity to make something happen for us today. He also went on to call out the Gophers' talent, specifically the forwards. He said, yeah, lines 1 through 4, pick your poison. They're a gifted team. This will be a challenge for us. Guys?
Yeah, thanks, Alexis. Lots of people have Minnesota picked as a favorite to get to St. Louis, the Frozen Four. Maybe have picked to win the national championship. Certainly a good test for UMD, and big non-conference games here early in the season that could have a big effect come March and April.
Yeah, you take the good with the bad. Obviously, you want to play real important games and be battle-tested, but it also can hurt you if you're not winning those games.
Centering pass turned aside by Guyon, got all the way through to him, had to make a pad save, and UMD will clear to center ice. Certainly so far tonight, Minnesota has been the far more dangerous of the two teams. Dubinsky chased by Hendrickson, the rest of the Gophers changing, so Pionk settles it down and will skate to center ice. Pass ahead at the line, knocked away by Gruba, and Huglin picks it up for the Gophers. He races through center ice. Give and go with Nevers. Tried to center, defended by Dubinsky. Spins it back to the point. Gruba across. Middlestat walks into the circle. A shot. Guy on the save. Rebound. Bouncing. Top of the crease. Fought for there by a couple guys. Cleared away by UMD. This is Mangini who skates to center. He takes a hit from Gruba. Separates Mangini from the puck. And now Mangini wrestles Gruba down. So far, no penalties coming. A big hit levied in the far corner as UMD continues the physical play. Mangini can't control a puck, bouncing in front of the Minnesota goal. Now it's James with it for UMD. He tried to float one across for Bass. Good defensive play by Mason Nevers.
Well, a little bit of response here from UMD. Finally, some energy and a little bit of sandpaper, we'll call it, playing on the edge. And I mean, certainly the only way you're going to beat a skilled team like this is to get physical and get in their face and make it hard on them. And we haven't seen that in the first 10 minutes of this hockey game. We finally saw a little bit of that from UMD.
Bouncing puck in on Guyon. It's something that Scott Sandlin addressed during his talk with media earlier this week. He didn't think the team had very much compete level. He didn't think it was a hard enough team to compete or to play against last Saturday night against Lowell. That was emphasized, as he put it, starting Monday during this week of practice.
Well, and to no surprise, that's what Scott Sandlin teams do. They've always done that, and that's how they're going to be successful. So if he doesn't see that, you're going to get called out.
The captain, James, across the blue line, takes a hit from Snuggerud, but gets the puck deep for UMD. Bettens crashes into the corner boards. Dug free by Ryan Chesley. He moves it to the point. It's held by Gallatin. Forced now out to center ice. Snuggerud leading the charge for Minnesota. He's joined by Lamb. Snuggerud snaps one. That was Kleber who directed it wide of the goal.
Yeah, Kleber, the freshman, made a really nice play there on that 2-on-1. Just to put his body in a good position and his stick in a good position as well. Body and stick, taking away that pass and deflecting that attempt of a shot.
Another hand pass called on Minnesota. 9.5 minutes to go. 2-0 the score. Shots 10-3 in favor of the Gophers.
Yeah, UMD with a little bit of response after that second Minnesota goal, but still not a lot of shots on goal, obviously, or even sustained offensive zone pressure, but something to build off of a couple of good shifts here.
Matthew Wood, the transfer from UConn, another of the first-round draft picks in the lineup for Minnesota, to the middle, and Guyon made the save. Wood picks up the rebound. Rinzel has it. He walks into the circle, a shot that Guyon turns aside. I think it got through to Guyon. Wood holds the zone for Minnesota. Clark, centering pass right on the doorstep. Wood, a shot, he scores! Matthew Wood, the lead is 3-0 Minnesota.
Well, on cue, you mentioned the name Matthew Wood, probably the top transfer in college hockey, coming over from UConn to Minnesota. This kid is going to be a superstar one day, and you see he stays with it. He gets one shot, and then he has enough time and space to stay with it and pick up the puck on his backhand. Here, the attempt on his forehand, and he stays with it, and he's all alone in front, and that's certainly something UMD needs to take care of, is you can't leave those guys behind you in front of the net alone like that, because they're going to make you pay.
The first goal in a Gophers uniform for Matthew Wood. The Nashville Predators prospect. It's 3-0 Minnesota, just past the halfway point of period number 1. And now UMD in ahead of the play, an offside whistle. It's been all Gophers through the opening 11 minutes and change.
I see Matthew Wood, 6'4", 200+ pounds. This kid's the real deal, and Canadian from Nanaimo, BC. Not a lot of Canadians end up putting the Gopher jersey on, but he's certainly a special one, and has an opportunity, I believe, to play for Team Canada in the World Juniors still this winter. So
Moore picks up the puck, a sharp angle shot, turned aside by Guyon. 14-3 are the shots to this point. Another long one, Guyon turns it aside for UMD. Moore slides it across Gruba, he walks in, and Guyon makes another stop for the Bulldogs. He has been under siege since the word go here tonight in Duluth.
Yeah, 16-3, I mean, it's just been a shooting gallery for Guyan. To our right, UMD needs some sort of energy here. They just look like they're running around, and they need a spark to get back in this thing. But like Scott Sandlin said, I mean, this Gopher team, they just come in waves. They're 4 lines. Pick your poison, right? They throw their next guys out, and it's as good as it gets as far as a scoring line in college hockey.
Gophers win another face-off, get a shot in on Guyon. He covers up, and we'll do the face-off again in the UMD zone. You might have seen Braden Fisher get chased from the face-off circle on that last sequence. That's a new rule this year in college hockey. No more with the warnings. They're just going to chase the centerman if they're cheating on the first draw. This face-off comes back to Rinzel. His long shot is blocked. Mangini moves it ahead for Gallatin, who leads the rush. Tried to fire, fanned on it. Mangini a shot, missed high on the stick side. Rinzel picks up the loose puck. He'll skate to center, moves it ahead for Falloon, who pitchforks it to the opposite corner. UMD chips it ahead. They'll wave off the icing. Kester back to play it for the Gophers. Moves it across for Rinzel. Pionk for Dubinsky behind the net of UMD. 7.5 minutes to go in the opening period. The Gophers have 3 goals. The Bulldogs have 3 shots on goal to this point in the hockey game. Modified scoring rules apply, and the game is tied. Out to center ice, rink wide, Snuggerud. Corrals the bouncing puck, goes opposite corner. Lamb has it there, back to the point. Whipple across for Chesley. Pad saved by Guyon on the long shot. Centering pass, it came from James, a turnover, and that shot was blocked to the near side corner. Now Snuggerud has it. Back to the point it goes. Whipple. He tries a centering pass, and that one ends up underneath Adam Guyon. The Bulldogs get a much-needed timeout, trailing 3-0 in the opening period here on My 9 Sports. Hey Bulldog fans, it's time to gear up for the hockey season with UMD stores. Now through Monday, save on men's replica jerseys, plus t-shirts, sweatshirts, blankets, and much more. Shop the campus store on Kirby Drive or shop online anytime, anywhere at umdstores.com. 6:46 to go, 3-0 the score. Minnesota out in front of UMD. Zach Schneider, Jed Medic here with you in Duluth. UMD came out of the last media timeout with a little bit more punch. Perhaps the home team can use this one much the same, as they're in danger of losing sight of this game early on.
Well, they need to play north and south. They're getting a little cute with pucks and turning the puck over, trying to go east and west. And if I'm them right now, I'm trying to simplify my game and just get the puck up the ice, get this Gopher defense crew to turn around and have to go retrieve pucks so they can maybe get some turnovers or some physical play.
James off the boards and out to center ice. 2 Bulldogs are on the scene. It's dealt with nicely there by Minnesota. They get the puck back deep in the Bulldog zone, and will change all 5 of the Gophers skaters. Pionk skates it to center ice, gains the red line. He'll shoot it behind the goal of Nathan Airy. He hasn't been very busy for Minnesota. Made a couple big saves, actually shorthanded when Minnesota had a power play earlier in the period, I should say, as now that puck is fumbled back to the goaltender. And we'll get a face-off coming in UMD's offensive zone. Let's go down again ringside to Alexis Bass.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Entering into the season, UMD knew their goaltender room was going to look a lot different with the departures of Matthew Thiessen and Zach Stachel. While Zach Sandy is back in net, they had the arrivals of Clayton Knapp and Chicago Blackhawks draft pick Adam Guyon, who got his 4th start in college hockey tonight. Our Daniel Chiarelli sat down with that entire goalie room to find out why UMD, what it is about Bulldog Country. Between the 3 of them, they are business and finance majors, and he asked them, hey guys, if you could come up with your dream business plan, what would it be? So find out what that is and everything that Daniel Chiarelli got to know about those guys coming up at that first intermission break. Guys.
Thanks very much, Alexis. Bouncing puck got past Joey Pierce. Ty Hansen over to knock it away for UMD as Connor Kurth won the foot race. But it just seems like not only has Minnesota come out on the front of its feet, on the front foot, I should say, but also just the pucks are not bouncing UMD's way. It hasn't been a very friendly game so far for the Bulldogs.
No, they're not. They're fighting the puck a little bit there. But there's a nice recovery there by Ty Hansen. I know you talked about the foot race there, but Ty Hansen came all the way back on the other side of the ice to cut that play off, even though he was the weak side defenseman. And another freshman, Ty Hansen, that we haven't talked about yet tonight, but excited about him, Hermantown native.
He was actually a guy the coaching staff might have been most excited about, the way he played in his junior career coming in. There were so many highly touted prospects to talk about: Jason Shagabe, Zaman Max Plant, Adam Kleber, Ty Hansen. Sometimes got lost in the fold, but the coaching staff very excited about his development and what he could do here at UMD.
Well, he just got better and better, too, from his time at junior hockey. Every season, it seemed like when he left Hermantown High School, he got better and better and better and has really developed into a nice hockey player.
Max Plant, of course, injured in the Bulldogs' opening game against Bemidji State. An upper body injury that will keep him out 4 to 6 weeks. Unfortunate news for the Bulldogs, as he's a big part of that freshman class. They expect to be such a important part of their team, not just this season, but moving forward. Hughlin centers. That's knocked away by the stick of Guyon, and now flipped out into the crowd. Look out. Ooh. Somebody got hit as that puck came over the glass and into the crowd. We hope they're okay. Right in front of us, Judd, and it's always something you don't like to see.
Yeah, you gotta be ready when those pucks are flying out. Let's hope they're okay.
Faceoff will come in the UMD zone. Kicked out is Fisher, so stepping in Betchen for UMD. They control off the draw. This is Betchen at center ice, and his dump attempt into the Minnesota bench. Inside of 4 minutes to go, opening period. The shot 17-3. The score 3-0 Minnesota.
Well, UMD would just love to get out of this period at this point. Only down 3-0. Could be a lot worse here if they don't bring their game here in the last 4 minutes of this period. It'd be great to get one, but they need to regroup.
Nevers walks right in, a shot and a good save by Guyon, right on cue, Judd. Hard to say there's a big save of the night in the first period of a 3-0 game, but if there is one, that might be it from Adam Guyon.
Wow, that was, I mean, it's hard to say that he's been UMD's best player so far, but he's got 19 shots on goal already in the first period, and that one there, you can see how square and moves across to his left really nicely there and squeezes that arm to his body, the 7-hole they call it. And
still 3.5 minutes to go here in period number 1. Puck goes to the far side boards. Bettens will chase it down for UMD. Rink wide looking for James. He can't control cleanly. And the puck up for grabs at the inside the line. Bettens has it, and they'll whistle it down for a high stick on UMD.
Well, that'll bring the face-off at least outside the zone, maybe if not further down, but no, they're going to keep it just outside the Minnesota zone. Should mention, too, Minnesota lost one of their best forwards in Pitlick in a transfer that kind of shocked everybody to Mankato, I believe a month or less ago, and it was kind of a breaking news that nobody saw coming, but imagine throwing him in the lineup.
Yeah, that one was unexpected. They also lost Bryce Brodzinski and Jackson Nelson from last year's team, two pretty good forwards in their own rights. Plus their goaltender, Justin Close. That one just held in by Middlestad. He walks in, a backhander, fought off by the shoulder of Adam Guyon. Snuggerud, a shot blocked down by Smith for UMD. He'll skate it to safety, cross the red line and flip it in for the Bulldogs. Both teams changing. Is back to get it Luke Middlestat. Two Middlestats on the roster, one in the lineup tonight for Minnesota. The younger brothers of Casey Middlestat, of course, who you'll remember from his time in the Gophers uniform. Depending on which side of the ledger you're on, those are either fond memories or not so fond memories.
Well, he's developing into a really nice NHL hockey player now.
Rinzel walks in, he scores! Sam Rinzel wires one to the top shelf. It's 4-0 Minnesota.
Well, one thing this Minnesota team has done extremely well tonight is go low to high, meaning pucks down low in the corner, their forwards get possession, and they don't hesitate. They zip it right back up to the defenseman. And these defensemen, including Rinzel, obviously, you'll see it goes right back up top. He takes a stride in and just rips it top shelf. Another highly touted NHL high-round draft pick to the Chicago Blackhawks. And you can see there he's got size, he's got skill, and he makes no mistake on that one.
Rinzel, another of those first-round draft picks. They've got 4 of them through the Gophers. He scores his 2nd of the year, and with 2 minutes to go in the first period, it is 4-0 Minnesota leading UMD. And if it weren't for the Gopher fans here at Amsoil Arena, this building would be deadly quiet. Now Wood with another chance. Wood for Minnesota, shot. Guyon makes the save for UMD. Centering pass, cleared away to center by Pionk. Chesley will shoot it in for the Gophers. Whatever could go wrong has gone wrong in this opening period for the home team. 90 seconds to play. Comes to the near side circle. Moore. Back to the point. Chesley wanted to fire. It was in his skates. Hendrickson leaves for Moore behind the goal. He's defended by Dubinsky. Moore along the near board. Chesley at the point. Looks like a Minnesota power play. Long shot. Guyon swallows that one up. And we'll get a whistle with 1:03 to play in the opening frame here at Amsoil Arena.
Well, this period can't end quick enough if you're UMD, as they just need to finish off this last minute. They're back on their heels once again. Foot on the gas by Minnesota. Continuing, like you said, they move the puck like a power play.
Hughlin back on the attack, tried to walk through Hansen. He defended it nicely. Ahead for Zam Plant. He dumps it into the far side corner. It goes. Back to the point. Hansen winds, fires. In front was Bettens. Airy makes the save for the Gophers. Thomas moves it ahead. It's taken away. This is James for the Bulldogs. Tries to drive wide, defended by Rinzel. Pushed into the near side boards. Reinforcements late in arriving, and Nevers will dump it into the UMD zone with 20 seconds to play. Bettens gets it ahead for Plant. 3-on-2 if they hurry. Plant with 15 seconds gives it to Gallatin. He tried to center it. Knocked away as James was tied up for UMD. Nevers with 10 seconds takes a hit from Bettens. And that is how this first period will come to a close. A great one for the visitors. Minnesota 4, UMD 0 through 20 minutes here at Amsoil Arena on Friday night. We'll take a break. The Super One Foods intermission report starts right after this on My 9 Sports. 4-0 the score. Minnesota jumps all over UMD here in period number 1 of this 2-game series here at Amsoil Arena. Welcome back to the rink. Zach Schneider, Judd Medic here with you. And we've heard all week, all preseason, all summer about the offense of Minnesota, the firepower that they possess. It was very evident in that first 20 minutes.
Well, it was as advertised. UMD didn't make anything difficult for these guys and the team as a whole. They gave them space. They turned the puck over. They capitalized on their chances. They got beat on their one-on-ones, as we saw there in that first goal. And really, it was just Minnesota just dominating and UMD with zero pushback whatsoever.
40 minutes left to go, so what's the message if you're Scott Sandlin in the dressing room?
Well, the message is they need to show up. I mean, he's more concerned about how they play, and he's mentioned it a few times this year. Not so much worried about results. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, could they come back 4 goals down? Absolutely they could. But the reality is he just wants to see a better performance, a little bit more of that compete level, and a little bit of care, I guess would be the word. I mean, the level of intensity that they showed in that first period is just unacceptable for this program and for this group of guys. So I guarantee that's what he's saying to them right now.
Sometimes it's said if it's 0-0 after the first period when you're on the road, it's a good road period. 4-0. We'll We'll call that a great road period for Minnesota. The Gophers lead the Bulldogs 4-0 here through 20 minutes. We'll take another break, bring you back with more here from Amsoil Arena. The Super One Foods Intermission Report continues right after this on My 9 Sports. What was a pretty raucous crowd here at Amsoil Arena has been stunned into silence. 4 goals in 20 minutes for Minnesota. The visitors lead UMD by 4 as we prepare for the second period here in Duluth. It came early, it came often in the first period for the Gophers.
Well, there was the first one right there. Brody Zemer with the first one, and that was Chesley, and again, low to high on that one, and UMD with a rare chance that we saw there. They only had 4 shots on goal, but none were grade A quality. And the third goal there by Matthew Wood. Get a really bad turnover there by UMD. They just did not take care of pucks that period and made it pretty easy on Minnesota to capitalize. When you got the high skill and the high talent and you get those chances, you're not going to miss very often.
4 different goal scorers in that period for Minnesota. Brody Zemer, Brody Lamb, Matthew Wood, and Sam Rinzel all lighting the lamp for the Gophers. Jimmy Clark, 3 assists for the Gophers in that opening period. As you said, just the 4 shots on goal for UMD. They didn't put Nathan Airy to work all that much, and we'll see what the second period brings for this young UMD team. I said at the outset, these 2 of the younger teams in college hockey this season. Minnesota, the 6th youngest, UMD, the 7th youngest, just behind. And it's still early, it's still mid-October, but that was not a good 20 minutes for the home team, and something that Scott Sandlin will want corrected sooner rather than later. He has some patience with young guys, but as you said earlier in the intermission, he wants to see compete level. It was a point of emphasis in his conversations with us leading into this series. He was unhappy with it last weekend against UMass Lowell in the Saturday night loss. I'm sure unhappy with it again in that opening 20 minutes.
Well, certainly, and that was the big thing, is they didn't compete out there, and they made it easy. And if you're not competing, at least that's the least thing you can control is your compete level. And you're not doing that, then if you're playing a team like this Gopher team, they're going to run all over you. So I think for UMD, they need to, I'd expect we're going to see a little bit more compete out of them this period.
Thought maybe we'd see a goalie change, not because of his performance, but just because of the score. But Adam Guyon leads the Bulldogs out for the second period, as he will continue on in this his 3rd collegiate game. Nathan Airy, of course, back out for Minnesota as the teams are back on the ice ahead of this second period. And we are going to send it down rinkside, where Alexis is joined by UMD assistant coach Cody Chupp.
A lot of conversations this week about compete. How would you grade that in that first 20 minutes?
Very poor. Yeah, they're too good of a team to give them extra opportunities, and I thought they did a really good job of allowing us, or taking advantage of us beating ourselves a little bit in that first period. We have to win puck battles. We have to embrace a simpler game. Ultimately, playing more in their zone is going to keep it out of our zone.
Where does the digging begin to get you out of this deficit?
Yeah, it's just one shift at a time, and I think as that period went on, we started to look like we were playing afraid, and you can't play afraid, and I think that's where we have to get back to good bench energy, and it starts with this first shift.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck in that second.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks, Alexis. Appreciate the time from Cody Chupp, UMD's assistant coach. The puck went into the UMD bench off the opening draw, and we'll do it again to start this middle period here in Duluth. Zach Schneider, Jeb Medic, thanks for being with us wherever you are. My 9 Sports, Fox 9 in the Twin Cities, NCHC TV. If you're a Minnesota fan, you've enjoyed this game thus far. Connor Kurth, nifty move along the near side circle. Back to Kester at the point. Those 2 crisscross. Kester into the corner now for the Gophers. He's one of 4 co-captains this year for Minnesota. A bit abnormal to have 4 captains, but 6 guys in total in the leadership group this year for Minnesota, and Bob Motzko.
Well, you got a great leadership group. Even though we talk about how young they are, there's a lot of great upperclassmen as well that come with that leadership ability, and that's a great formula for success.
Tied up behind the UMD goal. It comes free now to Kleber. One of those highly touted freshmen for UMD. Moves it ahead to Perkins. A penalty coming behind the play to Minnesota. So as Chesley touches up, UMD will get a chance on the power play. It's first of the game here early in the second period.
Yeah, Matthew Wood, he's going to go for a slash, a kind of a retaliatory penalty behind the play on Owen Gallatin, but some other scores as we look at from the NCHC. No conference series, I believe, this weekend, but some good non-conference matchups. You can see there.
Conference play will start next month. But for now, non-conference play continues around the country. First, Minnesota power play of the game for UMD. A chance to start the long climb back into the game for the Bulldogs. A goal here could go a long way to setting the tone for the rest of this game. James will draw against Hughlin. James wins it. Pionk, top of the circle. His shot blocked by Hughlin. Gallatin to Pionk. Across for Plant. Pionk, middle point. James with it. Pionk. James. Pionk, middle point for Gallatin. He walks into the circle. Tried to go across for Plant. It bounces to James in the corner. Plant behind the goal. Now James again. Pionk at the point. 30 seconds already gone. Gallatin to the faceoff dot. To Pionk. Fan on the first one. Second effort gets to James. Tried to go across. Gets it back. Nothing to the front of the net so far for UMD. Pionk to James. To Shagabe. One-timer. Missed the net. James to Pionk. Tried to slide it again to the bumper. Shagabe. Tied up in the low slot. Bounces to Pionk. To James now. Top of the near circle. 60 seconds gone on the power play. Tipped by Shagabe on the way through. Airy makes the glove save for Minnesota.
Well, pretty good sequence there for UMD. You see what they're trying to do is they'll play catch up top. You can see James and plays catch with Pionk, and then they'll have Shagabe 13 in the middle of the ice. And he's either going to open up for a one-time opportunity or he's going to flip his stick the other way and look for a redirection on a hard kind of shot pass from James. So a couple different options there that he's dictating. He's hoping to suck one of the defensemen up into the middle of the ice, and then maybe it can go down to Plant, who can then take a step towards the net.
Another face-off win for UMD. They continue with the second unit. Perkins a shot. Airy, the left pad save. Maybe his best save of the game. 45 seconds to go in the power play. First clear of that man advantage for Minnesota, and Hansen will start out for UMD. Perkins. Pass deflected at the line. Across from Molinar. He shoots it in, and UMD will give chase with 30 seconds to go. Wrapped around the far side. A clear for Minnesota as they'll get fresh killers on the ice. Hansen once again 200 feet away for the Bulldogs. Perkins, 10 seconds to go as he feeds Hansen at the blue line. Dumps it around to the far corner. Whacked at there. Dubinsky holds the zone against Snuggerud. It comes free to Perkins in the corner. Back to 5-on-5. The one-timer from Hansen, no good. He fanned on it. It comes free to Perkins, though. Into the circle, a shot. Now it comes to Betchin. Dubinsky shot, he scores! Aiden Dubinsky for UMD. The Bulldogs are on the board. It's 4-1.
Well, that'll go down as a 5-on-5 even strength goal as that penalty expired, but relentless puck pursuit. Again, UMD just didn't give up on that shift as the puck was again bouncing and they couldn't quite get a bounce, but they stuck with it. And finally it bounces out to Dubinsky, who does a nice job stepping down a little bit deeper, looking for that loose puck. An opportunistic goal for the defenseman Dubinsky.
First goal of the season for Dubinsky, just the fourth of his career. The junior alternate captain for UMD maybe injects some life not only into his team but into this building. Kleber tried to send it down low. It was deflected by Minnesota. Snuggerud the other way, defended by Bast. Waits for reinforcements in the offensive zone. Tried to center. It hit a skate and deflects to the far side. And an icing here on UMD. We'll bring the faceoff back to the Bulldog zone. Just under 4 minutes gone here in the second period. A good start to this middle frame for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, even though they couldn't capitalize on the power play, they had the puck in the zone pretty much the whole 2 minutes. They've executed some nice plays. They forced the goaltender, Airy, to make probably his only save of the night so far, his only real save of the night, and then they got rewarded for sticking with it and just getting traffic to the front and throwing a puck on net, and that's what it's going to take 3 more times here to equalize this game.
Paulson will get chased from the face-off dot. Well, now he's invited back in, and he'll draw against Jack Smith for UMD. Smith wins it for the Bulldogs. Kleber can't clear the zone. Gets it back now, the second effort. He'll skate to center. 3-on-2 as he leads the charge. Gives it to Loney. Skate to stick as Kleber drove the net. Looked for a tip. Off the side of the cage it went. It's gloved down and now cleared by Ryan Chesley, who gains the red line and will dump it in for Minnesota. He and Kleber hard into the end boards. Bouncing puck taken by Hendrickson. He takes a hit. Chesley a shot blocked by Kleber for UMD. Arnott on his horse for the Bulldogs. Into the circle over stick handles. Lost the puck. Bettens tried to feed the point and does. Pionk took a hit. Held the zone. Arnott has it. Stapled to the end boards by Chesley. Bettens dumped one of the Gophers. Minnesota wanted a call. None coming. Pionk across for Pierce. Fires one. Blocked by Chesley, who knocks a fluttering puck out to center ice. Now an intercept. This is Moore. Delays at the blue line. Circles back and now hands off. This is Renzel, one of the goal scorers in that opening period for UMD. He's submarine behind the goal. Minnesota still controls. Moore at the point. Long shot. Got through, and Guyon makes the save for UMD. Providing the screen in front was Beckett Hendrickson for Minnesota.
Well, a nice, good shift by UMD again, but then Minnesota answers well. You see Renzel, such a good defenseman as he leads that rush up, and his buddy Aaron Pionk, they were junior teammates, takes him out nicely there. And we get a whistle and a little bit of pushing and shoving, which is not a bad thing if you're UMD right now. You kind of want to get the emotions up a little bit right now, I think, because Minnesota would love to just kind of lull everyone to sleep at this point and just kind of capitalize on any more turnovers. If you're UMD, you kind of want to get some energy back in this building, and certainly some of that roughhouse play will help with that.
Oliver Moore turns around at the blue line, feeds Luke Middlestat. Past the 5-minute mark here of period number 2. Big hit at center ice. Couple Bulldogs collide after that. That was Dominic James stepping up on Oliver Moore. Moore gets the takeaway. High in the slot. Tried to feed the far side of the goal. It's taken away. This is Plant to James at the blue line. Trying to drop pass. Gets it to Gallatin. Gallatin a shot. Bounces wide of the goal. James behind. Tries to center. And Molinar right into the logo of Nathan Airy for Minnesota.
No. Again, another good shift there. They get the puck deep. They don't turn it over. Plant makes a nice play in the neutral zone just to hang on to it for a split second to wait for things to develop. And then they get it below the goal line. And again, low to high, looking for players sneaking down that seam. Minnesota's done it really well tonight. And now UMD executing a play. Nice job by Dominic James to change directions, change the flow of where that play's coming from and go back the other way and find a defenseman sneaking in.
Bulldogs control off the draw. Shagabe behind the net. Smith has it in the corner. He's hit into the wall. Minnesota has it with Huglin out to center ice and now move to the far side. They whistle it down. I'm not sure why, and the official points to himself as that was an inadvertent whistle. I think he called offside on Minnesota on the Gophers' defensive line.
I think he forgot which Minnesota was wearing which jersey tonight. That clearly was not a white jersey that was with the puck, but they're hugging it out and they're going to be just fine. It looks like the referee and the linesman. I think they should go to center, to be honest.
Yeah, they'll drop the puck at center ice.
Yeah.
Immediately pointed to himself and said, my bad.
My bad, my bad.
Gophers control. This is Whipple.
Hey, refs can make mistakes too, can't they, Zach? Right?
Depending on who you're talking to. Some people might say it's not ever allowed. Molinar has it for the Bulldogs. Shovels it in behind the goal, now to the far corner. Smith tries to go to the corner to Shagabe. Huglin wins that battle and controls for Minnesota. He skates to center, ahead for Falloon. This is Shagabe for the Bulldogs. He lost a handle on it into the corner. The Bulldogs are changing, so not many reinforcements for Shagabe as he got pushed up against the wall. And now an icing, I believe, will be called, yes, against Minnesota. The face-off back to the Gophers' side of the ice. The shots in this period, 4-1 in favor of UMD. The scoring, obviously, 1-0, and it's a 4-1 game overall.
Well, it's been a totally different period than what we saw in the first period. Even though UMD's got the lone goal of this period, they've just played so much better, and Minnesota certainly hasn't played bad this period, but the play of UMD is elevated that it's kind of equalizing this Gopher team.
Minnesota will change after that icing. They get the puck in deep. Loney flips it ahead. Perkins on the attack for UMD. Sidesteps one of the Gophers, couldn't get by the second. Now he gets some help. The puck to the near boards. Loney tried to go back deep. It's taken away and cleared to center ice by Jimmy Clark. Minnesota Wild draft pick, I mentioned, had 3 assists on the 4 goals Minnesota scored in that opening period. He's on the forecheck now behind the UMD goal. Dug free by Pionk. Does well to maintain control of the puck through some pressure. And now Perkins, one hand on his stick, shovels it into the Minnesota zone. Clark flips it to the far side, gloved down by Wood. He dumps it in. Cleaver going to be the first one there for UMD. Wood, the takeaway behind the goal. Cleaver back to his feet. He wins the battle with Wood. 3-on-3 battle in the far side corner. Dug free by Minnesota. Knifed away by UMD. Plant will clear it up the far side boards. Not quite out to center ice as Minnesota holds. Lamb walks in, saved by Guyon with the left pad. Bettens tries to float it ahead for Zam Plant. No, rather that's Dominic James, and off the end boards. Airy had to be wise to that for Minnesota. We'll head to a break. Aiden Dubinsky has got the Bulldogs on the board. It's 4-1 here on My 9 Sports. Well, 21 goals each of the past 2 seasons for Minnesota's Jimmy Snuggerud. One of only 6 Gophers to have back-to-back 20-goal seasons since the year 2000. He's one of those 4 first-round draft picks for the Gophers. No goals yet this season. No goals tonight for Snuggerud, but a big part of that team that's expected to do good things this year.
Who did it in 2000?
Well, he's one of 6 since 2000. I can't name all 6.
Okay.
Maybe Alexis Baskin. Let's go down ringside to Alexis.
I definitely can't, but I can name the word of the week was definitely compete. We've talked about it all game long. It's been a point of emphasis for head coach Scott Slandon after their loss against UMass Lowell last week on Saturday. He said, we were careless with the puck, there was no pushback, and that's what bothered him. He said it starts in practice, and it starts with puck battles. He said we don't have to win every single puck battle, but it starts with second and third efforts. Joel Molinar, transferred from St. Cloud, echoed that mentality, saying, yeah, Sandy made it quite clear at practice on Monday, we couldn't put out that kind of effort and performance again this weekend. We would have the same effort that would put us on the board and have issues for us. He then went on to talk about that it wasn't going to be impossible to come out of holes if we continued to have those same efforts. And so tonight, I can imagine you guys, those same conversations have occurred in the locker room tonight. But as we know, UMD has flipped the page a little bit by putting up a goal in this period. Guys?
Yeah, one thing we know about Scott Sandlin and probably every coach around the country, they don't like repeating themselves all that much. They want the message to be received.
Well, I think it was the way, judging on how they are playing the second period. So the compete level has been a lot better, but you certainly don't want to make this a theme going into every weekend and having to talk about compete level. And you especially don't want to hear, as a player, you don't want to show up Monday for practice and hear that, because you know it's going to be a hell of a week if it's a compete type of week when you're just doing one-on-one battles and running the gauntlet, so to speak. I've been a part of those certainly over the years, playing where you dread going to practice because you know it's just going to be an absolute dogfight. But You want practice to be fun, but I'll tell you, coming off an effort like they had in the first period, practice would not be fun this week.
Approaching the halfway point here of period number 2. Been a much better period thus far for the home team, but still a 3-goal deficit to their in-state rival, Minnesota. Moore chips it past Dubinsky. He and Pionk back to get it. Dubinsky blew a tire. They move the puck ahead for Smith, who skates through center ice now for the Bulldogs. Off the glass and deep, UMD will change 3 of its 5 skaters. Minnesota's pass out to center ice, collected by Kleber. And now Gallatin ahead at the line. Molinar chips it in behind. They'll complete the line change with UMD. Hendrickson. Through the middle, Moore will peel off and head to the bench for Minnesota. Betchen has it along the near boards for UMD. Luke Middlestat takes a big hit from Fisher as he fired that puck to the opposite corner. They'll wave off the icing as Kleber gets to it before it reaches the goal line. Indirectly out to center. Fisher takes a hit but gets the puck deep for UMD. Middlestat fights with Betchen in the far corner. Molinar lost that battle. Rinzel along with Huglin there for Minnesota. Pierce holds the zone there for the Bulldogs. Rinzel takes it away from him. Leads a 3-on-2 across the UMD line to the far side circle. Now back for Huglin. A good stick lift from Cal Arnott, back checking for UMD. Big hit along the near boards. Puck back to Middlestat, far side, long shot. That was deflected wide of the cage. Nevers the first one there for Minnesota. Feeds the point. Gruba, Middlestat walks in, traffic in front, and Guyon finds it for UMD. He makes the glove save. 8:34 to go, second period.
Well, things have gotten a little bit more physical here. We saw a couple of big hits there on the near wall in the UMD zone. Again, Minnesota goes D to D. You see all that traffic in front, but Guyon, he's really done a nice job tonight finding those pucks, picking them up. You know, a lot of times those pucks have seeing eyes and they can somehow sneak by you, but as a goaltender, you need to get down and get low and get active to find your eyes around that crowd in front of you, and he's certainly done that tonight by picking those out.
Minnesota controls. Whipple takes a hit from Loney along the near point. Kurth will hold at the blue line. Pad saved by Guyon. Pionk forced to clear the rebound from trouble for UMD. Loney, he has it taken away. Now on the second effort, gets it out to center ice for the Bulldogs. Chesley over stick handled in the far corner, taken away by Perkins. He gets some help from Whipple, who's forechecked by Loney. Can't get his stick free. Dug free. Centering pass comes to Pionk. His long shot blocked to the far boards by Chesley. I think that was Perkins right on the doorstep. Might have been James, actually, who was coming off the bench, and that pass too hot to handle. Good forecheck here for UMD. Forces Minnesota to just bang it up the far boards. Bettens will flip it back in for the Bulldogs. 7.5 minutes to go, second period. Bettens crashes in, gets it to the point. Kleber, long shot. It comes off the end boards and almost there for the UMD captain, Dominic James. James, the takeaway at the blue line. Tried to get it in deep. It hit bodies and flipped ahead. Now a chance for Minnesota. This is Falloon in the far corner. Takes a hit from Kleber. Rather, that's Matthew Wood, I should say. Good stick there from Guyon. As trying to cut to the middle was Paulson.
Well, watch this battle all night long. 91-6, Kleber and Wood. They've gone back and forth. Two of the biggest bodies you're going to find on the ice are absolutely going after it tonight. And to be honest, Kleber has kind of had the better of the two in those physical matches.
Snuggerud, the takeaway for Minnesota, and Kleber defensively good with his stick. Knocks that one away for UMD. Thomas to Rinzel, a long shot. James and Lamb battle for it in the far corner. Up to the blue line, it's held momentarily by Rinzel. Plant can't take it away from him, and now Rinzel, a reverse hit on UMD's Dominic James. James clears, but that'll be an icing on UMD with 6:20 to go. A long shift for some of these Bulldogs out there for Scott Sandlin.
Yeah, tough in the second period with the long changes. When you're in the offensive zone, in this case Minnesota, if you can get an offensive zone change, meaning you guys your team can keep the puck in the offensive zone, but get 5 new guys out there, it puts the team playing defense back on their heels even more so, because that's why you're going to see, I think, a timeout here by UMD.
Yeah, and I think that might have been Dominic James driven. He skated by the bench after that icing and said something to Scott Sandlin. And then 10 seconds later, the timeout taken by UMD. You certainly can't let it get any worse if you're the Bulldogs. You're down 4-1. You got on the board here early in the second period, but you need to score the next goal if you're serious about staging a comeback tonight.
Yeah, you certainly do. You got 6:20 left here in the second period. It's, even though they're still getting outshot heavily, they've had the shot battle here in the second period, and if they can somehow get this next one and go into the locker room down by 2, you never know what can happen. Obviously, it's been a totally different period, but it's probably a good timeout for Scott Sandlin here.
Stranger things have happened. Still just 8 shots on goal in the hockey game for UMD, but the second period much better. The shots 4-3 in favor of UMD here in the second period. So no one has had a lot of shots on goal here in the second period after it was 23-4, an absolute shooting gallery for Minnesota in the first.
Yeah, well, and honestly, one of the things Minnesota's done well this period is block shots. And it's kind of funny to say that. You don't think of Minnesota as a great shot blocking team over the years. You know, you have an offensive first-minded team that's go, 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 bearing down in your defensive zone to block shots. I mean, that's a pretty good formula for these guys tonight.
Blue chippers versus blue collar, often how this series has been described. And right now the blue chippers are up 4-1. We'll take a break here at Amsoil Arena on My 9 Sports. Hey hockey fans, UMD Stores has the largest selection of UMD gear in the Northland. It's located on the UMD campus. It's open weekdays and weekends, or you can shop online anytime, anywhere at umdstores.com. 4-1 Minnesota, 6:17 to go, second period. And after Scott Sandlin used the timeout on the faceoff prior, another long break, so both teams rested and ready to go for the stretch run here in the middle frame. UMD controls off the draw. Shagabe able to get it to center. Middlestat sends it up over the glass on the far side. And we'll get a face-off coming here at center ice. We are back on the air tomorrow night. Same 2 teams, same city. The first 2-game series between these programs in Duluth since October of 2012. 1 hour earlier for puck drop. So set the alarms an hour earlier. 6 o'clock start for the Dogs and the Gophers in tomorrow's finale here on My 9 Sports. Shagabe tried to leave it for Smith, just a bit out of his reach, and Gruba will whack it back to center ice for for Minnesota. He's got it again now in the Gopher zone. Middlestat ahead at the UMD line. Zemer corrals the bouncing puck, a shot wide on the glove side of Guyon. Gruba, long shot, turned aside by Guyon. Collected by UMD. Shagabe moves it to the far side. Fisher with a bit of room. A long shot, good play by Luke Middlestat to get over for Minnesota.
Yeah, nice play all around there. Shagabe made kind of a blind pass, but that was Fisher screaming for that puck, and that's why communication is key. He had no idea that he couldn't see him, Shagabe, but when you call for that puck and you can put it to an area to skate into it, that's a real smart play by the freshman, Jason Shagabe.
Shagabe had 2 goals and an assist in his first ever collegiate game a couple weekends ago in the season opener against Bemidji State. First UMD player to have 3 points in his debut in over 55 years. At least 55 years since the last time that happened, so he burst onto the scene, the former Minnesota Mr. Hockey Award winner from Warroad. Another of those talented freshmen that fans have been excited to see for so long here in Duluth. Nevers blew a tire on the far side. Got it to Falloon, now it's back. This is Huglin, high in the zone, chased by Hansen, a diving play by Hansen. It comes now to Thomas in the circle, walks in, save made, the rebound, they score! Aaron Huglin on the rebound. The lead back at 4, it's 5-1.
Well, you talk about getting lost, and that's exactly what Hughlin did there. Is he rolled up high, and you said Hansen was kind of pursuing him up top there, and unfortunately, the player loses a tire, but you can see Hughlin just cruises down the middle of the ice after he's up high there, and just kind of coasts in and waits for that puck, and you'll see him right here, just kind of sneaking in right there, and it just hops right to him. That's another fortuitous bounce for the Gophers, but that's just a smart play as he rolls up high, and then he doesn't just rush in or take himself out of the play. He kind of just floats in, gets lost, and it happens to land right on his stick.
Some kind of cruel irony just after we talk about the freshman from Warroad, the senior from Roseau, scores for the opposition. It's a 5-1 game, Hughlin's first goal of the season for Minnesota. And Airy will put a glove to that. We'll get a face-off in the Minnesota zone. Just under 4 minutes to go here in the second period. Let's go down ringside again to Alexis.
We have a special guest who actually comes to Amsoil for the first time ever, President Cunningham. She's the president and oversees all of Minnesota universities. I got a chance to speak with her ahead of this game, and she said while she's a big Gopher fan, this is actually not her first time in Duluth, that she spends several time in the Boundary Waters. So guys, we'll speak to her coming up at that second intermission report.
Thanks, Alexis. Looking forward to that. Just under 4 minutes away from that second intermission. Long shot tipped in front by Arnott, and Airy makes a good save for the Gophers.
Yeah, nice tip there. Another freshman, Arnott, changes the direction.
Now Lamb into the circle for Minnesota. Tried to go back across the grain. Arnott this time defensively knocks it away for UMD.
He's impressed me tonight, Arnott. He's made a couple of nice plays. Good stick, as we saw there, and he's kind of an unorthodox skater, but he's sneaky fast. I remember on a back check earlier in this period, he got back in a hurry, kind of came out of nowhere, showed some good speed, and then you can see there with a good stick, and then he got up the ice in a hurry.
He's a guy that's had success at every level. He won a Fred Page Cup in the BCHL in his junior career. He's obviously got the bloodline with his uncle Jason Arnott of NHL fame, a Stanley Cup winner with the New Jersey Devils. Shagabe has it now. That's save made by Airy. The rebound in a dangerous location, but cleared away by Minnesota. Snuggerud whips it high of the goal. Mangini picks it up for the Bulldogs. He tries to sneak past Rinzel on the far side, who picks the puck up now for the Gophers. Flips it ahead, gets it back, and now we'll skate it through center ice across the UMD line. Hendrickson across to the far side. Paulson a shot wide of the goal. Hendrickson and Smith battle for it on the near side. Paulson tried to center back for Hendrickson on the give and go, and a penalty coming to UMD. Hooking the call, Jack Smith, the guilty party. Minnesota to its second power play of the game already with a power play goal in the opening period.
Yeah, I didn't like that call. It looked like the Gopher player almost didn't make out who it was, but we'll see it here, but looked like he almost was just diving. He kind of just, there was contact, and he was kind of turning around to kind of, and made an attempt to play that puck. Left his feet on purpose, and that was a bit of a soft call there, but.
Second power play of the game for Minnesota, and big moment here at the end of the middle period. If the fifth goal wasn't an early dagger, a sixth certainly would be for Minnesota. Clark controls high in the slot. He turns it over. Loney the takeaway for UMD. Skates to center and will flip it in with 2.5 minutes to go in the period. 1:45 in the power play as Kurth controls in his own zone. He's got it back now and moves through center ice. Sidesteps Loney. Tried to center. It comes back to Moore, who picks it up for Minnesota. Kester at the point. Middlestat walks into the circle. Down low. Jam play for Kurth. No one knows where the puck is. It's underneath Adam Guyon.
Nice job by Guyon to hold that post tight there, and even though he didn't know where it was, when you're technically in the right position and you have that strong pad, that seal on the ice, and that jam play there, you know that you're going to be able to hold that off. You can see they throw it down low, and right there, Guyan's got that right skate right up against the post so he can push off of it if he needs to, but it's sealed on the ice. But pad is so nothing can get underneath it. Look at me, I'm a goalie expert, Zach. Did you know that?
Brett Nicklin, watch out.
Yeah.
Good time to mention that Brennan Pottersay, St. Scholastica alum, the goaltending coach for Minnesota, as well as Ben Gordon, an International Falls native on the staff for Bob Motzko. A couple local connections to the coaching staff of the Gophers. 1 minute still to go on this Minnesota power play. 90 seconds in the period. Toe drag and a shot from Wood is deflected up out of play by UMD's Gallatin, and a faceoff will come in the offensive zone for the Gophers.
Well, 50 seconds left on this power play, a minute 27 in the period. Again, UMD would love to kill this one off and head into the locker room. Things were looking pretty good at that 4-1 score. They had some momentum going, and that last goal was kind of a killer, but they'll look to finish things off here with a good last minute and a half.
Loney off the draw will get the clear for the Bulldogs. 45 seconds to go in the power play. 1:20 in the period as Rinzel starts from behind the Minnesota net. He drops for Lamb. Across for Paulson. He enters the UMD zone. Paulson defended by Pierce behind the goal. Around for Wood. 1 minute to go in the period. Paulson, far corner. Try to saucer pass across for Snuggerud. UMD knocked that one back to the corner boards. Wood digs it from the fray. 10 seconds to go in the power play. Snuggerud, one-timer, blocked by Pierce for the Bulldogs. 45 seconds to go in the period. And now a chance shorthanded. James has Pierce with him. James walks in, fumbled the puck, and they don't get a shot or a pass as UMD on that chance. Back to 5-on-5.
Well, that pretty much sums up the evening right there. Probably your best player. The one you want with the puck in that situation, and you just can't get the handle and execute there. One of those nights.
15 seconds still to go. Turnover, and Guyon makes the save. Nevers walk down Main Street for Minnesota. And now the puck out of play with 8.4 on the clock.
Well, another awful bounce. I don't know if that hit a partition or something in the corner, but it right there, it bounces literally right to the Gopher player in the slot. If it hit the referee was standing there right here, but no, I just think it hit something on the boards or the glass, and the seamless glass, it's not supposed to happen that way, but
right by the Zamboni.
Yeah.
We've seen weird bounces. Most of them happen in the old deck arena, not as many in Amsoil Arena. But the Bulldogs escape without further damage. Still 8 seconds to go in an offensive zone faceoff for Minnesota. Puck goes to the corner, and now behind the goal. That should just about do it here for the middle period. Each team gets a goal, and the 4-goal advantage remains for the visitors. Minnesota 5, UMD 1. 20 minutes to go here on night 1 in Duluth. We'll take a break. The Super One Foods intermission report starts right after this on My 9 Sports. Well, each team gets a goal in that middle period. A better 20 minutes from UMD, but still the same 4-goal disadvantage they were facing after the first period. But if you're talking in a progression type conversation, a better period for UMD.
Yeah, you're a positive guy, aren't you, Zach? No, it certainly was a better period for UMD, as they had a little bit of pushback, and again, that compete and that intensity level was much better. They were able to execute. And they got on the board with a goal that ended up being a 5-on-5 goal, but right as a penalty was expiring. So they had some good pressure there. Again, they kind of unfortunately gave up a goal to end the period, which they never want to do, but overall a much better period. Weren't able to get a lot of shots through. Certainly they'll look to get some more shots on goal this third period.
The fact of the matter is, it's tough to dig yourself that big a hole against anyone in college hockey, but especially a team as talented as Minnesota. 4 goals is a lot to ask for.
Well, you know, if there's one thing that the question mark for this Gopher team coming into the year was goaltending. And certainly he's been solid tonight, no question about that, but he hasn't really been tested. So if you can get some more pucks to the net, get some bodies to the net, you never know what can happen. They might be able to sneak a few by.
We will see what happens. 20 minutes still to go here at Amsoil Arena. 5-1 the score. Minnesota leading UMD through 40 minutes. We'll take another break. The Super One Foods intermission report continues right after this on My 9 Sports.
Welcome back to Bulldogs Gopher game. Well, Aiden, you gave your team a little bit of life when they need it most. What else are they going to need most come in this final 20 minutes so that you guys can turn this around?
Oh, we got to keep hounding them behind the goal line, recycling putts, again, pucks to the net. Their goalie, we haven't tested much. We only got 11 shots, so we just got to keep testing.
Something that has been talked about so much this week after that Saturday loss against UMass was the compete level. How would you grade that after this last 20 minutes?
It was definitely better than the first, but it's still not good enough. We know we got a lot better in that room, and we got to prove it.
As one of the leaders of this group, this bunch, what do you tell the younger guys to make sure they understand when it comes to this final 20 minutes?
We got a game tomorrow. We got to send a message. We can still claw back in this. We know what we got in that room, and we got to prove it.
Best of luck in that final frame.
Thank you.
Guys, we got more Bulldog Gophers game after this. We'll be right back after the break. Gophers, Bulldogs here at Amsoil Arena. Well, I'm joined with a special guest, President Cunningham. This is your first time in the Amsoil Arena. Can you give me your first thoughts, feelings, emotions about being in such an electric crowd?
It is an electric crowd here tonight, and I'm just excited. It's a win for the university all along. I love being in Duluth. It's great. I haven't been in this arena before, and the crowd has been amazing. The energy is amazing. The students are fabulous.
And this is month 4 for you.
That's
in
right.
This role. Just talk about what that experience has been like for you.
It's been electric, like the stadium tonight. We have an amazing university. I love living here in Minnesota. I've been here many times, but now I'm getting settled in. And we have a great university, which is in a great state, and it's just a fabulous dream job. So I'm thrilled to be here.
I know, speaking of dreams, so many people that go to the U of M, student athletes for that matter, are chasing after their dreams. How important is it to have that community of athletics at the U?
Athletics and being part of a student and as a student athlete is an amazing experience. It gives our students community, it gives them teamwork, it gives them life skills. We know our student athletes actually outperform even our other students in their GPAs, sets them up great for the world, gives them friends forever. It's a fabulous way to connect with the community, like the community here tonight, by being a front porch for all of Minnesota to root for.
Besides hockey, you just told me earlier that you attended a Gopher volleyball game.
I did.
Another ranked team at U of M. Talk about that electrifying experience.
It was my first college hockey volleyball game, and wow, women's hockey, the women's sports are amazing.
Amazing.
So women Gophers versus Wisconsin in a nail-biting 5-set game. The women were electrifying. They worked together in this fabulous way. Such strong women. I love to see it. I love to see our women athletes.
Would you go back?
Can't wait to go back. I'm going to get some more tickets.
I want to ask you as well, it's not your first time in Duluth. Talk about your history with this town, with this area a little bit.
Yeah, so I've been back a couple times here just since I got here in July, but before that, my family and I have vacationed in the Boundary Waters for decades, up in Ely, family camp with Denord, and up at Widgie, long canoe trips. Love this area, enjoyed the whitefish on the shores for decades.
What has surprised you most about being in this new role?
Not a lot of surprises except for how, it's the students, I think just seeing the excitement that they have here is always electrifying. I don't know if that's surprising, but it's always new and fresh. I think one of the things that surprises me or has made me so excited is we have 5 great campuses at the University of Minnesota. A great campus like UMD here, Crookston, Morris, Rochester, the Twin Cities. We have a great Block M for so many of our Minnesotans. No matter what the right M is for them.
I'm going to put you on the spot for a second, play coach a little bit. What do you think the prediction of this game is going to be in the next 20 minutes?
The university will win.
That is a
And it will be
great
great
answer,
for me.
President.
That's right,
That's
yes.
right, a win either
And
way.
good. And what a great time for all of our kids out there.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you for having
joining
me.
us.
Yeah.
We will be right back with a fresh sheet of ice for final 20 minutes where President Cunningham will win either way. We'll be right back with more Gopher and Bulldog hockey right after the break.
Welcome back to Amsoil Arena. Zach Schneider, Judd Medic here with you as the teams arrive back to the ice for the third period. Minnesota leading UMD 5-1 here in game one of their two-game weekend series in Duluth. If you're a glass half full kind of person, it was 1-1 in that second period. If you're a glass half empty kind of person, still a 4-goal deficit for UMD with 20 minutes of regulation to go. Let's go down to Alexis, who's joined by UMD Associate Head Coach Adam Kraus.
Coach, that second period, obviously a bit of improvement. What did you like most about that second period?
Yeah, a little bit of the competitive environment went up for our group, and obviously a very tough first period, so the reaction we thought was positive.
What do you do to add some of that positivity here in the final frame where you do have a steep hill to climb?
Yeah, just continue the winning puck battles, and another lesson in our young season.
Thank you so much. Best of luck in the final frame.
Thank you.
Guys.
Yeah, thanks very much, Alexis. Appreciate the time from the coaching staff as we get underway here in the third period. 20 minutes to go. Minnesota, a 4-goal lead that they built in the opening period. 4-0 at that time, now 5-1 after the teams traded goals in the second. Puck out to the blue line. Knocked away by Loney. Arnott the first one there for the Bulldogs.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Scott Sandlin does with his lines here. If he gives these younger guys a chance here maybe to play a little bit more and step up. If he switches things up to kind of try to generate some offense.
Pionk tries to move into the Minnesota zone. The puck back out to center ice, and now a chance for Hendrickson for Minnesota. Rolling puck, and he couldn't get it to settle down. Fired it over the crossbar and into the high netting behind Adam Guyon.
Yeah, that faceoff should probably come all the way out. I think he just kind of hit a sandwich there into the netting. That puck, like you said, wouldn't sit down for Hendrickson. No, they're going to say the goalie got a piece of it there, so that'll stay in.
Looked like Dominic James asked the linesman about that and got a shake of the head. So if that's true, a good save for Guyon to start this third period for UMD. He plays the puck out to the point, held in by Minnesota, and another long shot got through. That one from Cal Thomas. Guyon swallows that one up for the Bulldogs. He's made 31 saves to this point in the game. 5 goals allowed, but honestly, Adam Guyon has been pretty solid for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, it's been fun to watch him tonight. My first game seeing him live.
Wraparound chance for Hendrickson. The puck was still free, but a quick whistle. And a faceoff will come in the UMD zone. They'll change lines as that's 3 quick draws in the defensive zone for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, you got to win faceoffs. Actually, it's one statistic that UMD has been better on tonight is faceoffs. I believe they had the slight advantage over Minnesota tonight. So, again, a bit of a reversal. We're not used to seeing UMD teams with great faceoff success over the last couple years. So that's certainly something to be positive about.
90 seconds gone in the third and final period of regulation. Plant centers for James. To the point, Dubinsky. A long shot. That caught one of the Gophers. That's Lamb, and he's hobbled a bit, but remains on the ice for Minnesota. Pionk crashes down, holds the zone. Out of the reach is Zam Plant. Lamb, who was stung by that Dubinsky shot, still out there for the Gophers. Bouncing puck is gloved down, and now a hand pass called on Minnesota.
Well, I talked about it in the second, but blocking shots, paying a price, sacrificing your body for the sake of winning hockey games, and that's exactly what Lamb did there. As he went out and took one off the ankle and stuck with it and had to finish the shift, and it was Dubinsky with the shot for UMD, and then he had another shot blocked as well by another Gopher. So 2 blocked shots for Minnesota that shift. doing the little things.
9 blocks through 2 periods for the Gophers, 16 block shots for UMD is what the stat sheet says. Add 2 more on that shift for Minnesota. Middlestad across for Gruba. Rink wide, they were close to too many men. Hopping back over the boards was Nevers, who hops now back on for Snuggerud. And Middlestat controls in his own zone. Fans on the outlet pass. Fisher dumps it in deep. Mangini alone on the forecheck for now. Reverses to the far side. Centering pass no good for UMD. And back out to center ice it comes with Kleber. Arnott. As we mentioned in the second period, he's had a bit of a jump to his game. He's got the puck in the circle, tried to fire. That was blocked off to the far boards by Minnesota.
Yeah, he's been one of my favorite players tonight for UMD. Just a freshman, obviously, but you can see he just thinks the game well. He's a hockey player, quote unquote.
High in the slot, pad save Guyon. That was August Falloon walking down Broad Street for Minnesota. Rinzel for Kester along the near boards. Pionk pinches down for the Bulldogs. Minnesota flips it to center ice. Wood controls, has Kurth going to the net. Connor Kurth to the backhand, saved by Guyon. Good move from Kurth, and a better save from Adam Guyon.
Well, UMD is continuing to allow Gopher forwards get behind them. Their defense just needs to do a better job of keeping things in front of them, keeping the play in front.
Wood tried to sidestep past Dubinsky. Big body protects the puck, gives it to Chesley, walks in. That one, I think, was blocked before it got to Guyon. Chance for an odd man break for UMD. Back checking is Chesley, has it pocket picked by Dominic James. Tried to center for Plant. Chesley takes it away from Minnesota. Walks into the circle, down low, jam play. And whistles now as Guyon, I think, has a mask issue for Minnesota. Flips it to center. So that brings the stoppage, and the faceoff will come in the UMD zone.
Not the best time to do that. When UMD had the puck in transition, they were heading up the ice. But you can see right there what I was talking about is Wood makes a nice pass across for that breakaway opportunity. Again, behind the UMD defenseman pretty easily there. A lot of odd man rushes and a couple of breakaway chances. Not a good situation.
A couple good saves in that sequence for Guyon.
Certainly was.
Got his mask issue corrected, and we play on here in the third period. No scoring in this frame yet. Centering pass from Minnesota is knocked away by Hansen, up out of play. 4.5 minutes into this third period. Just 11 shots on goal for UMD, and it doesn't matter who you're playing, whether it's one of the top teams in the country or not. 11 shots on goal at this point in the hockey game, you're not going to be ahead in many situations.
No, you're certainly not. And we talked about the goaltending question marks for Minnesota heading into the year. And has he played well tonight, Zach? We don't really know because he hasn't had to make many saves. I can think of maybe 1 or 2 true good saves that he's had to make tonight. Everything else has been pretty simple for him, and he certainly has the ability to make those easy saves, as most goalies in college hockey do.
Hendrickson behind the net for the Gophers. Gives away now to Moore. He has it taken away by Pierce, who leads the charge for UMD. Across the Minnesota line, Perkins has it. His pass was behind Loney. Knocked away by Zemer. And out to center comes Minnesota. Chesley tried to jump up in the play. And they're in ahead. Offside on Minnesota, just past the 5-minute mark here of this third period. The Gophers leading the Bulldogs 5-1. Game number 2 tomorrow night, an hour earlier for the puck drop, 6 o'clock here from Amsoil Arena.
Well, we'll be here, and it'll be a beautiful day here in Duluth. If our Twin Cities viewers tonight watching in the Twin Cities are making the trip up tomorrow, it'll be a nice day to drive up.
not complaining, but it's 70 degrees out in October and we're at a hockey rink.
Yeah, it's been crazy, hasn't it?
Long shot from the far boards there from Paulson is swallowed up by Guyon, and Minnesota has done a good job. You mentioned earlier in the second period they'd like to just kind of lull this game to sleep. They don't want it to be too exciting. They don't want UMD to gain any momentum. So far in the third period, it's hard to say UMD's gained any traction in trying to stage a comeback.
Well, it's interesting. Last weekend, Minnesota lost that final game in the tournament in Las Vegas, I believe, to Omaha in overtime, but I think they heavily outshot.
Lamb walks in, a centering pass, and Snuggerud was defended by Zam Plant.
Heavily outshot Omaha in that game and played better than they did the night before when they won 7-1. So just kind of weird how the game goes sometimes.
Talking with some of their communication staff, Simon Latkozy was very, very good for Omaha. Didn't think that the Gophers tested him as much as they could have. A lot of shots that were from the perimeter, easier saves for Latkozy, but sometimes you run into a hot goaltender.
Yeah.
Good pass ahead, and that shot from Falloon is wide of the goal. As now maybe UMD has to take some chances. It's led to some odd man breaks the other way for Minnesota. Flipped in by Shagabe. Mangini, the first one there for the Bulldogs. In the corner, feeds the point, handled well by Dubinsky. He moves to the middle. Pionk, he walks to the circle. A shot off the mask of Airy. Dubinsky finds the puck, he scores! No one knew where it was. Aiden Dubinsky did. He scores his second of the game. It's 5-2.
Well, a bizarre sequence. I'm looking at the referees right now in the replay to see if there was some sort of goaltender interference, but he had no idea where that was. Airy, as he kind of just stayed on that right side of his crease. You'll see a great angle here. Look at he thinks it's there, but it's already on the left side up by the point, and he's still looking for it. So he just completely lost that puck.
You could see it happening. Dubinsky recognized immediately that no one but him really on the ice, not just Nathan Airy, but nobody but Aiden Dubinsky knew where that puck was. He just passed it into the net. His second goal of the night. And with 13:20 to go in the third period, if UMD can bang another quick one, who knows what could happen here on Friday night. But they do need another one quickly, most likely. Molinar picks it up in the corner. He's pushed into the wall by Kester for Minnesota. Wood will flip it to center ice past Pionk. Dubinsky pushed to the ice as he battles with Connor Kurth. The crowd wants a penalty, but that was kind of both ways. And Pionk will start from behind the UMD goal. Molinar, the lone forechecker right now for UMD. It comes free to Chesley, who moves it ahead through center ice. Chasing the puck is Clark. Moves it around to the near boards. Wood picks it up for Minnesota. Gets it past Bast. Hansen, the first one there, defending for UMD. Some help from Arnott, and it comes free to Hansen. He'll lead the charge across the red line. Arnott, now Perkins, and they're offside. Negates what could have been a 4-on-2 chance for UMD. Aiden Dubinsky has the Bulldogs back within 3 here on My 9 Sports. The very best Bulldog fan gear is available at UMD stores. Stop in soon for the newest tees, sweatshirts, caps, gifts, and more. Shop the campus store on Kirby Drive or online anytime, anywhere at umdstores.com. Dogs control off the draw. Gallatin gets it to James, fires it just wide off the end boards, almost bounced to Betchin. He gets it back to Plant. Now centers for James. He's converged on by a couple Gophers. Up the wall it comes. Betchin out there with the top line for UMD. Some of that line shuffling that Judd talked about earlier. Comes out to center ice. Plant has to retreat, get on side. It comes to Gruba. Ahead now for Minnesota. Walking in and firing, but deflected up out of play for Minnesota. Tonight's Super One Foods save of the game comes from Adam Guyon. He has made 36 of them to this point in the game. The Slovakian netminder pretty solid despite the 5 goals allowed tonight for UMD.
Yeah, he really has been. I mean, he can't really think of any that were bad goals, so to speak. I mean, maybe a couple he'd like to have back, but any competitive goalie would like to have them all back if they could. But I don't really remember any softies on him. A couple of great shots and some great plays by this Gopher team.
Offensive zone faceoff coming here for the Bulldogs. 11:33 to go, trying to claw their way back. A 3-goal deficit for the second time since that opening period. They got it to 4-1 in the second, and now 5-2 here in the third after a 4-goal onslaught came in the opening period from Minnesota. Pionk holds the point at the near side for UMD. Dubinsky, he's already got 2 tonight. I'm sure he doesn't have a collegiate hat trick yet. He's got just 5 goals now in his career. 2 of them came tonight. He's got the point, or the puck at the point. Long shot, that was high on the glove side of Airy. And flipped the length of the ice. That'll be icing on Minnesota. Just inside 11 minutes to go here in the third period.
Well, it's often you see Minnesota kids step out, have a breakout game against Minnesota Gophers or St. Cloud or kind of an in-state rivalry, but I'd love to say the same for Aiden Dubinsky, but he's unfortunately not from Minnesota. He's an Illinois native, I believe. But 2 goals are 2 goals. I would have taken that any night against anybody.
Fisher will draw against Paulson. As we tick closer to the halfway point here of the third and final period. Gophers win the draw. Rinzel flips to center. Hansen controls across for Pionk. His headman pass intercepted, and now it's Snuggerud one-on-one. A shot off of Guyon. Boy, can he whip the puck. Guyon makes the stop for UMD.
Yeah, he can shoot it. He gets his release is elite. But what a save by Guyon to get out in front and make a great save, cut the angle down, and it just hit him because he was out far enough and his angle is perfect.
Shagabe has it for the Bulldogs. Far side circle. Fisher goes to the top of the crease. It comes free to Hansen now. He fires a long shot, missed the net. Pierce, sharp angle off the pads of Airy. The Gophers flip it to the near boards. Chesley through center ice with speed across the blue line. They're in offside at 10:02. Had something cooking there, it looked like, with Mason Nevers, but a skate offside and the face-off back to center ice. Here's that last shot from Snuggerud, and yeah, I don't think Guyon reacted to that at all. It just hit him, like you said.
Well, that's why sound position and angle is as important as anything else when it comes to goaltending.
Ten minutes gone, 10 minutes to go here, third period. The Bulldogs have got 1 back. They need 3 more. Kleber ahead for the captain, James, with some speed. Leaves it for Zam Plant. James tried to center on the backhand. Bouncing puck out near the blue line is forced to center ice by Matthew Wood for Minnesota. Now rink wide, it's James for UMD. Try to drop pass, and now Wood has a breakaway for Minnesota. Matthew Wood has reinforcements coming. Wood gonna shoot off the post for Minnesota, and a bouncing puck out near the blue line. Gophers hold to the far side circle. Middlestat across, and Gallatin defending well. Jimmy Clark tried the one-timer. It just flutters in on Guyon for UMD.
Yeah, it's a good stick by Gallatin there. That puck tried to get worked to the back door, but he just got a piece of it enough to redirect it here. See Wood here kind of lumbering in there, waiting to make a decision. Decided to shoot it short side, and I think Guyon got a piece of it, but then it caromed off the post, and there you see that play with Gallatin there, gets that stick just in the lane enough to deflect it out of play.
Perkins gives it to Arnott with some speed across the line. Long shot, and Whipple knocks that one up out of play.
Yeah, going back to Callum Arnott, I was talking about him earlier, and I mentioned the term he's just a hockey player. Looks like a hockey player. I know they're all hockey players, obviously, Zach, but what I mean by that is just he's trying to make little plays. He's seeing the ice well. He's kind of reading the game. He's kind of, you can tell for a freshman at this level to be able to do those things and recognize that's a special skill to have. And he's one of those guys that I think is just going to continue to get better and better every game this year.
He's one of a couple freshman centermen that Scott Sandlin has. The other Zam Plant for the first couple games of the season. He's now on the wing, at least tonight, on that top line, trying to generate some scoring, especially with his brother Max injured and out of the lineup. But Callum Arnott playing the center position as a freshman, certainly a difficult thing to do in a Scott Sandlin coach team. There's a lot of responsibility for the center.
Yeah,
both ends of the ice.
To have freshmen playing center at this level of hockey, you know, in a not just like a fourth line role. I mean, again, that shows his hockey IQ level and how he thinks the game. Not only physically, I mean, you're going up against grown men essentially, 22-year-old, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds even in some cases. So you got to think the game and be able to physically handle that as well.
Eric Paulson, also a freshman on the Minnesota side, playing the center position for Bob Motzko. Battle for it along the far side boards. 8.5 minutes to go here, third period. Arnott digs it free, feeds to Perkins. He will dump it in, and the Bulldogs will give chase. Dogs were down by just a goal in the third period of their season opener 2 weekends ago against Bemidji State. Came back in that game to force overtime. This one a steeper hill, 3 goals down with 8 minutes to go. Dubinsky has it for UMD. Smith back to Dubinsky as he makes a bid at number 3. Just couldn't get a stick to that centering pass. And now a puck hits the high netting. We'll have a face-off in the Minnesota zone.
Well, you got to love it. Dubinsky jumping up in the play, acting kind of as that fourth forward, going to the net, a little give and go, and almost got a piece of that, and a little redirection play. And
Dubinsky was the Bulldogs' youngest returning player from last season's team. He's wearing an A on his chest as one of the alternate captains this year. We asked Scott Sandlin about it before the season opener. He said there was a point last season, late in the year, when they had a players-only meeting, and Dubinsky was one of the only younger guys, he was a sophomore at the time, to speak up and say, this is enough of this. We can't handle the quality that we're putting out. We're better than this. And Sandlin said from that point forward, he knew that he would probably be in the leadership group even as a junior this season.
Well, that's an amazing compliment and a great opportunity for him.
7.5 minutes to go, third period. Minnesota protecting a 3-goal lead. Centering pass at the far side of the goal. Guyon got his stick down, and now a penalty coming to Minnesota as Fisher was tripped up. Paulson and Hansen were battling, but UMD will go to the power play. It's second of the game and a chance to get within 2.
Yeah, kind of a tough break for Paulson there. I think his stick kind of got tied up with Hansen, but it wasn't actually Hansen who the penalty was on. It was the player with the puck. You'll see right here, the two are battling, and there's the call right there, probably on the puck carrier, Braden Fisher, and kind of because he was tied up with Hansen at the time, I don't think he had much control of his stick there, but nonetheless, second power play of the night for UMD.
Minnesota power play for the Bulldogs. They win the draw. Gallatin to Pionk at the point. Across, James, a shot, they score! Deflected in! Dominic James, a power play goal. It's 5-3.
Well, I think Dominic James is going to get credit for this goal. I believe it goes off a Gopher player in front. You'll see Gallatin throws it back up top to Pionk, who swings it over, and I think it hits the stick of Ryan Chesley, 71 right there. That's an unfortunate break for Minnesota, as that hits his stick and maybe even hits his shoulder and then bounces in. But that's a big goal for UMD. Call it a power play goal, and things look kind of interesting here now, Zach.
7 minutes to go. The lead down to 2 for the first time since the opening period. And maybe a bit of energy for UMD. Hughlin, though, back the other way for Minnesota. The pad save, the rebound, cleared away to the end boards. Rinzel holds at the near point. Dangerous looking answer there for Minnesota, as now Gallatin and Plant force it to neutral ice. Hughlin will pitchfork it back in the Bulldog zone with 6.5 minutes to go. Still got to think UMD needs another one quickly, but 6.5 minutes, a 2-goal lead. Plant and Betchin to the far corner, to the point, held by Dubinsky. No, it bounces over his stick out to center, and UMD will have to clear the zone. Wood speeds across the UMD line, defended by Pionk, into the corner. Bettens there for UMD as well. Wood and Kurth battle for it for Minnesota. Comes free to the middle. Guyon has to sweep it away with the big goalie stick. Pionk, a pass up to the point. Middlestat steps down and holds for Minnesota. Now Pionk moves it ahead. That was out of the reach of Bettens. Chesley, who had the unlucky bounce in that last shift for Minnesota. He plays it ahead, and Dubinsky retreats behind his own goal with 5:20 to go in the third period. Now Minnesota very happy to go zone to zone, just move it ahead. This is Moore into the circle. Moore, a shot, he scores! Oliver Moore. A great shot over the stick side to lead. Back to 3, 6-3 Minnesota.
Well, it's another odd man rush, Zach. We've seen UMD give up at least 2 or 3 3-on-1s or 2-on-1s. In this case, it's a 3-on-1 with a back checker, but watch this little quick release there from Moore. Oliver Moore, another first-round draft pick. You can see he's on his backhand. He just brings it to his forehand changes the angle of the shot. That's the key there. Is he's got it on his backhand side where the goaltender's playing that angle, and then he quickly brings it to his forehand, and it's off the stick so quick that the goalie can't move in time, and it's a perfectly placed shot.
His first goal of the season. It's 6-3. The lead back to 3 for Minnesota with 5 minutes to go. And now another shot off the post for the Gophers. What a response for the visitors as UMD had pulled within 2. Now Snuggerud back into the zone. His shot to the far side. The rebound to Paulson. 7-3 Minnesota.
Well, it was Snuggerud who takes this shot, and it hits something and bounces right on the tape of Paulson. He gets his first collegiate goal, I believe, here. But you'll see this. Just UMD does everything well there, and the puck ends up right on Paulson's stick, and not much you can do there, I guess, for Guyon.
Sometimes the bounces even out in a sport like hockey. UMD gets a generous bounce on the James power play goal. Minnesota, a generous bounce, the first collegiate goal for Eric Paulson. And the lead back to 4 with 4.5 minutes, and that should pretty much do it on this Friday night. If you were looking for UMD to show some fight in the 2 periods after the first, they've done that, but in the end, a 4-goal lead is an awfully big hill to climb against Minnesota.
Well, it is, and you'd start taking chances at that point, and then you give up odd man rushes, which they've pretty much done all game, unfortunately, and I'm not sure that's a product of being down and taking chances. You got it. There's good chances and there's bad chances. Like 50-50 pucks are one thing, but when it's a 20-80 opportunity to get a puck, it's not worth it, and UMD just hasn't played those percentages very well tonight.
Well, give Minnesota a lot of credit. Not only did they build the 4-0 lead, they jumped all over the Dogs in the first period, but every time UMD has punched back in this game, Minnesota has found an answer.
They really have. They've responded very well to any bit of push from UMD. Like
centering pass, they score! Murinar for UMD. And it's 7-4. A goalie. A shooting gallery here in the third period, Judd.
Well, a nice executed play there by UMD. Again, they get the puck deep. They get a guy going to the net, and Molinar, the transfer from St. Cloud, and Pionk puts it right on his tape. Again, a defenseman getting involved in the play down low and throws it on net to a streaking forward on his one-time side. And
3.5 minutes to go. Molinar's second as a Bulldog makes it a 7-4 game. I had to check the scoreboard, Judd, to make sure I got it right with all these goals.
Wow, it was a lot in a hurry there. Now a couple players going back and forth here. Smith.
Wood has it in the circle. He fires the rebound, sent through the top of the crease area. Gruba and Wood have it again along the near boards for Minnesota. One-timer Kurth, save made. Tripped up was Clark as he fights for it with Pionk along the far side circle. Pionk has it now for UMD. Slides it ahead for Smith. He clears the zone. Can't get the red line. Moves it ahead for Loney, though. He's 1-on-3. Easy save for Airy. And back the other way, Moore able to shoot it deep in the Bulldog zone with 2.5 minutes to play. James motors ahead for the Bulldogs. Middlestat cancels him out. Guy onto the bench. Extra attacker out now for UMD with 2:20 to go and a 3-goal deficit. Bouncing puck just wide of the goal. Corralled by Gallatin. He shoots it out to center ice. Middlestat moves it to the far side. Hansen back out to center ice for UMD. 2 minutes to play. 6-on-5. Empty net for UMD. The shot's 49-20 in favor of Minnesota. Pionk walks to the middle. Bettens back to Pionk. Long shot wide of the goal. Plant tried to center. Bettens knocks down the clearing attempt. Into the corner. James, Pionk. Across for James, one-timer. Comes to Shagabay. He scores! Jason Shagabay makes it 7-5 with 1:35 to go.
Have you ever seen more weird bounces in a period, Zach? I mean, that one, again, Minnesota does a great job here keeping the puck to the outside. A block shot on a one-timer bounces right to Shagabay, the right-handed shot in the slot for a one-timer. No chance on the goalie. Right here is a one-timer block, boom, right? It's like pinball. It's the third goal we've seen like that.
The goaltender numbers will look pretty atrocious after this game, and I don't think either Guyon or Airy has played all that bad. But 12 goals have been scored. Guyon back to the net for now with 1:35 to go. If UMD gets possession, I'd expect him to head off again. Kick out both centermen, and UMD wins the draw. There goes Guyon. Pionk shoots it in for UMD. Chesley to the point, held by Pionk. To the far side, it's 6-on-5 again for UMD. Wouldn't this be something if they can get another? James to the point. Pionk, long shot off the end boards. Behind the goal, Gallatin. Minnesota sends it the length of the ice. Foot race here. Pionk and Lamb. They'll wave off the icing. They say Lamb got there first. 1 minute to go. Empty net for UMD. Shagabay has it for the Bulldogs. He comes through center ice, dumps it in, and will give chase. To the far side, Lamb, who beat out that icing for Minnesota. This one they won't beat out, but they'll be content to ice it with 41.7 left on the clock and a 2-goal lead at 7-5.
Yeah, whenever you have a 2-goal lead, it's a green light to just fire that thing down and try to hit that empty net, in my opinion. Or, you know, you'll take a defensive zone faceoff here if you're Minnesota, but knowing you're up by 2, you're going to take that risk and take that shot of trying to hit that empty net every time. UMD's got too many guys on the ice here, though.
Yeah, Betchen will head off. Can't have 7. 6-on-5 continues for UMD with 41.7 to go on the clock. Smith wins the draw. Dubinsky for Gallatin. Long shot off the end boards. Bounces out in front. Minnesota tried to clear. It bounces to Molinar. Molinar in the circle. Airy makes the save. 30.2 to go in the third period.
Yeah, I'd like to see Molinar maybe make a better play there. I know he's trying to throw the puck on net there, but Airy can see that the whole way through, and he's just going to grab onto it. Try to get him moving left to right, and again, get that traffic in front so he can't see those shots coming through.
Smith will draw against Huglin to the right of Nathan Airy. UMD controls. Dubinsky tries to center, deflected by Minnesota. Perkins fights for it along the near boards along with Smith and Dubinsky. Minnesota out to the point, held by Gallatin. He shovels it to the front, knocked away by Minnesota. And a penalty coming as Perkins hauled down Kester, who takes exception to that. And whatever sliver of hope remained for UMD, killed with that penalty, you would think. 10.2 seconds to go. Perkins, the penalty, the face-off back to the UMD zone. And the comeback effort will fall short here on Friday night for the Bulldogs.
I mean, to me, it looked like the Gopher player had his stick with it in his left hand there. He was kind of holding it, pulling it into himself, which is a smart play in that situation. You know you're going to get the benefit of the doubt, but with just 10 seconds left anyways, I'm not sure what it's going to matter anyways.
So if nothing else, they made it a little fun, but a 4-goal lead, too much to overcome. Minnesota gets the win here on Friday night. 7-5 is the final. The Gophers take game 1 over their in-state rival Bulldogs. They moved to 2-1 on the season. UMD 1-3 through its first 4 games. We will take a break, bring you back to wrap things up here from Amsoil Arena on My9 Sports. Welcome back to Amsoil Arena. 7-5 the final. Some fire wagon hockey there in the third period. 6 goals between the two teams, but it ends as a 7-5 victory for Minnesota over UMD in this Friday night series opener. And ultimately that first period too much to overcome, but you have to like a lot of what you saw in the second 2 periods from the Bulldogs.
Yeah, certainly a better effort, but just a lot of irresponsible hockey. This is going to be we're going to see some highlights here of all these goals tonight, but what you're also going to see is kind of the tape that Scott Sound's going to show his guys tomorrow to point out all the mistakes they made. And a lot of breakdowns defensively, a lot of odd man rushes, which absolutely you cannot give up to a team like this that has such high-powered offensive players. And for whatever reason, UMD just couldn't figure that out as the game went on. And then by the end of it, when they're down a couple, you're taking chances, and then you're even caught even more than you want to be. And it was just kind of a recipe for disaster. You really never felt like they were in this game from the get-go.
Yeah, I mentioned you score 5 goals if you're UMD, 12 goals total in the game. A lot of them came when it felt like the game was over after Minnesota jumped out to that 4-0 lead. As advertised was that Gophers offense. We'd heard about it going into the season. That was the reason a lot of people had picked them to get to the Frozen Four. They get 7. They get the win. 7-5 the final tonight in Game 1 between these two teams. They'll do it again tomorrow night. We'll take a break. After that, you'll hear from UMD Associate Head Coach Adam Krause here on My9 Sports. Back here to Amsoil Arena, 7-5 the final. Minnesota knocks off UMD in Game 1 of their 2-game non-conference series here in Duluth. Right now, Alexis is joined on the ice by UMD's Associate Head Coach Adam Krause.
Coach, you were just talking a wild last 10 minutes there, a shooting parade to the back of the net. But what did you like about your team's pushback, something that I know that you wanted to answer to after that Saturday loss last week?
Yeah, I think there was some clear pushback and some moments where it would have been easy to quit probably tonight. So that's a positive. Obviously a lot to clean up, but the fact that we brought it to the end, something to be proud of.
Did you feel like, of course the cliche, a little too late for the response that they had, but what do you bring knowing that you can go ahead and produce that fast come tomorrow?
Well, it's got to give a confidence to our younger players in the locker room. They can play against a team like Minnesota, and just can't start that way we started tonight. And after the first period we won the game 5-3, so I guess that's positive.
Sandlin said that with so many newbies, the best teachers are going to be games for this group. What did you learn about this group tonight?
Yeah, probably some just resiliency. There are some guys that don't quit, and again, like I said, there were some moments in that game where felt pretty small on the bench, and so not to quit. It's a good starting point for our team.
Was anyone that stood out to you tonight? I know I looked over at the bench, and Zan Plant was the only one that came out of the locker room and was the one encouraging those guys. So talk about him or anybody else that pops into your mind.
Well, he's an emotional player. He expects himself to be his best every night, and I know he was forcing it probably a little bit early, but to stay with it, proud of him as a younger player. He'll have a bright future.
Well, thank you, Coach. Best of luck tomorrow. Hope that you guys get one.
Thank you.
Guys?
Yeah, thanks, Alexis. Obviously a tough night for UMD, their staff, their players, but one of the good things about college hockey, if you're UMD, you get a chance to flush this one, come back tomorrow. The good thing if you're Minnesota is you get to come back tomorrow and try to get what would be a big sweep on the road against a rival.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's the real test, in my opinion. The weekend as a whole is a good test, but UMD just looked a little bit nervous, they were the team kind of back on their heels, which they got to reverse that for tomorrow and come out with the energy and play like they did. Adam said it best. They won the game essentially 5-3 after that, the first period. So that's certainly a positive, so they know they can play with them. Yeah,
tomorrow's a new day, and we will be here for it. Thank you for joining us here tonight for Game 1. We'll be back with the drop of the puck tomorrow at 6 o'clock. For now, for Judd, Alexis, our director, Dylan Field, our producer, Tom Hansen, everybody here at My9 Sports and Bulldog Productions, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors, Essentia Health and Kohler Chevrolet Buick GMC, for their continued support of these games all season long. 7-5 the final. Minnesota gets the win over UMD. We'll do it all again tomorrow, hockey fans. Until then, be well.